It is July 25th, 2020. We're here at the back of the property at 1925 Chalcedony Street in San Diego, California, 92109. We're here off the alleyway for the back unit. This is a 2-on-1. The front house is 1923. We're going to start here with the back unit. We have a 3-inch ABS clean out. It appears to be an end of the line clean out. You can see we have a little bit of debris. Usually floats up and comes back in reverse every once in a while on a line. So we got some debris that we're having to push through here, and we're probably going to have to run some water to get this cleaned off. This is a 90 entry point. You can see we don't have any visual right now, so we're going to go ahead and pause for a second and flush this out. Okay, so we've put about 2 gallons of water down here to clean off the debris and the lens off the camera. We now have a visual. This is ABS plastic pipe. We're basically looking to see if there's any improper turns, any sags in the line, which are areas that are holding water, which means there's improper downhill slope, or any objects in the line, or any cracks or breaks with any of the piping or the fitting connections. This is all newer pipes. We don't expect to find anything. See, there's multiple T-junctions we'll keep passing where everything's going to dump into this system. All these other T-junctions right here. Coupling right there. Big main T-junction right there, picking up another one of the bathrooms. Okay, so now we're going back to original cast iron pipe. So it is not all ABS plastic throughout the entire run. So there may have been always a property here, and it was rebuilt on the slab. They redid that, but it appears that we, and the yard in between possibly, have original cast iron again. So here we're entering into the cast iron. So this is right at about that 31-foot mark. It is nice and open and clear here. We're seeing minimal amount of deposits or scale or buildup on the inside. Cast iron still looks in really good condition. This is 4-inch cast iron pipe. A little bit of standing water right here. Okay, now we're going into a little bit deeper pocket of water. So this all has to be downhill slope, so there should be no pockets or, again, what we call sag in the line. So could be that there's some debris coming up and that's acting like a dam holding this water, or it could be just that the pipe itself has settled, or from just initial installation was not put at a real good downhill slope. It requires to have a 1/4 inch of fall for every foot it travels. So for every 4 feet you travel, it has to fall 1 inch in depth. Now I can see from our camera, we have the newest rigid CC8 cameras, and this has basically a meter on it that tells me the degree or the pitch that the pipe and the camera are sitting in. Right now I'm at +3 degrees basically, so it of course needs to be at negative, and it's supposed to be at right around -2 degrees. That equates to a 1/4 inch per foot. So I can see why we're holding water, because this pipe is going uphill here quite a bit. I don't know if we're still in cast iron or if this is newer plastic that was installed. We do believe that the line goes to a sump pump system. We're in the alleyway again right now, and we're on the far south side of the property, about the middle of the house, and the sump pump is on the front side of the first unit, and it's on the far east side of the house. So we know it had to make that little turn. They might have replaced part of it. Okay, we just came out of that, and it is still cast iron. So you can see right here, we make this turn on the line, and we go right back into this heavy pocket of water. So we'll locate all this, the start and end of this big long sag, because it's over 30 feet long. We're going to verify if there's any other cleanouts, because the cleanout access that we're in right now is 3-inch ABS plastic. The problem is that you're in 4-inch pipe right here, so if you need to clean this out, certain jetter hoses, nozzles on the end, as well as cables, the bits that go on the end, you're starting with a smaller pipe trying to clean a bigger pipe, and that doesn't work as efficiently and as effectively, of course. So here again is that little turn on the line. We're still in cast iron, but internally the wall of the pipe still looks in good condition here. Now the reason you also don't want to sag in the line with cast iron, of course, is this is just regular steel cast iron pipe. It's eventually going to rust and corrode and degrade. If you have standing water in it all the time, that's going to exacerbate and speed up the process of it deteriorating. Cast iron is still nice and open here. No roots, no other debris. So once we got past that turn at about the 67-foot marking from this clean out in the back, it's opened up again. A few little pockets of water we're kind of pushing with our cable going through. Everything still looks good here. A little bit of standing water right here. Back into an area where we're either grabbing some debris, or again we are heading to another area that has a sag. Now we do know, if this is going to the sump pump system, that there is a clean out on there. We'll show that later. It is an improper, out of code, two-way clean out. You have to install what's called double sweeps in the state of California. We'll show that on the video once we move over. So I don't believe we're in the sump pump pit. I think we're still in the line right now. We're all underwater. So again, this all has to be downhill slope until it gets to the pumping system. Then it can go uphill from there. The pumping system's allowed to go uphill because that's a pump pushing the water. But to here, this is all the gravity line. Got a little chunk of debris or something right there, it appears. Okay, that's actually our dump into the clean out, it appears. So there we go, or the sump pump, I'm sorry. So that little lip right there is probably the transition to the plastic. There's our entry point right there. We can actually see in the very bottom of the screen the little cord on the top of the pump, and there's the vertical pipe. So we're in the collection basin. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and pause the video for a second, and we're going to just pull the lid on that side of the house and just verify that we're right there. Okay, so we have gone ahead and verified this is in fact in the sump pump, which we could tell from here. That so as we back up here, we immediately go into water, and again there is a 4-inch clean out right in front of this pit. This is required, but again they ran what's called a two-way clean out, which is not to code. And even when you look down that vertical pipe about 3 feet deep to that, it is all got standing water in it as well, which we can of course also see right here from the video screen. So we're going to go ahead and start pulling back on the line here. Now, because we're out such a long distance and going through a smaller pipe, we're not going to be able to get a centering guide, which is a device that lifts the front of the camera off the bottom a little bit, because it's just not going to make it through all the transitions and turns typically. But that could possibly tell us just where that cast iron ends and it transitions to plastic. But at this point it also doesn't matter, because this is all holding water this entire way. So from the sump pump pit where it dumps in, we're backing up here, and we know most of it is all cast iron. They probably only replaced a few feet at best. So there we go. We're coming into the beginning of this sag, and this is the second sag. So we have 2 on the line. So right here on this cast iron is all, I believe, a straight run. We're going to back up to right about here. We're completely out of that. We're going to pause the video. We're going to locate and mark where this is at on the property. Okay, so we've located this, and we are going to put a flag in the ground denoting this position of the pipe. The pipe is 3 feet 4 inches deep, so it's 40 inches deep. What we're now going to go ahead and do is move back forward again. So we're right in front of that 83-foot mark. As we move forward here through this second sag that's holding all this water improperly, not of code, we're going to pull back up to the pump. And here we go. This is the entrance point into the pipe. I'm sorry, the pump. There you go, right there. We're going to back up right here with this standing water. We're going to go ahead and just pause and locate this. Okay, we have everything marked out in the yard for this second sag. We're now going to go ahead and pull back on the line again so we can mark the first really big long sag on the system here. So we have this little bit of run in between the two that's in good condition as far as the slope and the condition of the cast iron currently. No issues with it. You can see some paper and debris right there. See, it's all bunched up right at the turn right there. So you see all this paper and debris. And that's because as soon as we make the turn right here, we go back into the second sag essentially. So we're going to go ahead and push forward just a little bit here because this denotes where the turn on the line is. So we're going to pause and locate this. Okay, so we've gone ahead and marked this 45-degree turn. This is still in the backyard of the front house, about to leave through the fence line and head to this back unit where we started. And the pipe right here, we have it marked with a flag, and we'll show it above ground. The pipe is 39 inches deep here, so we've backed up almost 17 feet at least, and the pipe is only 1 inch deeper as we go forward. So that's why we have all these issues with the line. We can see it itself just from our locating here in between the 2 points. That's why this is occurring on the system. So now we're going to back up, and so you can see that debris right there in the line. And then this is where we've got that standing water that we were pushing through for certain spots of it. So we'll keep backing up here. We may have pushed a lot of that debris up to that 45, kind of cleared out some of that sag belly to the line. So that's a good thing. Okay, so it's actually looking really much better at that point right there. So as we pulled back from pushing forward initially where all that water was standing, it looks like that was, again, it's rough cast iron. There's not possibly some great slope on the line, but we literally cleared out with our camera and pushed all that debris. So it had that, what we called earlier, the damming effect. There was a lot of junk in the line, paper, feces, whatnot. It just, an old cast iron that's rough, doesn't have a lot of water going by with ultra low flow toilets now, even though you're using water everywhere else. It basically drags and snags inside the pipe and then bunches up. So this did clear out. We've got just these little miniature pockets of some standing water here, but it wasn't as deep when we first went through. But again, there should be no standing water, but anyway, we'll always get a little bit in the older cast iron. But as we push forward here again, so we're just dragging some of that debris, but when we come back in reverse, it looks a little bit better. So you can see it's not as bad initially. But once you get to this 45, that's where everything's really snagging, and then we do go into that full bore sag from there. So we've got this marked, so now we're going to go ahead and pull back, and we're going to go ahead and show and inspect the front house. Okay, so we moved our camera here above ground here. You can see here's the back of the house, the front here, the fence that separates the two. Right here is our white flag, yellow flag. It says cast 45 degree, 39 inches deep. So this is again where the cast iron is making the turn. This is where everything is bunching up and snagging on the line. So it goes from here back at a 45 degree angle through to the property. It's all cast iron. And then at the 45, now it's going to run parallel to this fence that's along, continues to this side of the house where the sump pump is. And we're going to go ahead and move our camera to show that. Okay, so we moved our camera over here to this corner of the house here, and so again, we just checked out that back corner. That's where the 45 was. So that's the sewer line coming from the back unit, 1925, goes across their yard at a 45, and then comes into this yard, makes that turn right there, then runs straight along this bush line, and then comes right here, right almost next to the area drain. You can see our other flag, it says sewer 40 inches. This is the beginning of the sag. And so from here, all the way across to the sump pit, which we'll move over to, that is completely out of code and is holding water and sewage and debris. It does not have proper downhill slope. So essentially what happened was when they installed that sewer ejection pump system with the collection basin that it sits in with the big lid, that was not deep enough. It needed to be literally 2 to 3 inches deeper, probably around there, so that this pipe all has downhill slope. So essentially what has to happen is from this flag all the way across, which is also under a brick outdoor shower stall, which should be dumping into that pit. It cannot go into the ground. We'll verify that. It's going to have to be dug up. The pipe's going to have to be recorrected to create proper downhill slope, and then the whole pump and basin will have to be lowered as well. Now, we had that big sag, what we thought was an initial sag coming through the yard over there up to this 45 that we just showed over here in this corner. Again, as we pulled back the camera, we saw all that massive amounts of feces and paper at the 45. We literally cleared it and pushed it with our camera. So the cast iron doesn't have an initial sag now. There is only actually one here in the back side yard of the front house, 1923. But that 45-degree elbow over time, you may actually have to dig that up and put a smooth 45 with, and then also the proper clean outs back there to make it easier to clean that out. Now, when this other area right here, starting at this flag all the way to the pump, is corrected, right here 2 clean outs should be put in, 2 proper double sweeps. So it's still a good 15 feet from the 45, be cleaned out quicker, but if you were to make that 45 a smooth ABS plastic turn, it's less likely for everything to bind up there and maybe make its way through. Also be simpler to clean it up if you do that 45 there with clean outs on both sides of it. Then sometimes it'd be cleaned out with as simple as putting a garden hose down the line to get a lot of water, breaking it up, or what's called a little blow bag, a little inflatable balloon on the end of it to clean it without having to hire a plumber to come out and do that. But that one's a secondary, not exactly required right now, just recommended in the future, may need to be done if constant stoppages occur. This is the real problem area right here that is, again, out of code and will have to be corrected. So we're going to pause and just move over to the pump system. Okay, so move down from that beginning to that sag. So again, the sag is running all underneath here. Here is the two-way clean out. Again, that is an improper out-of-code clean out. Runs under this outdoor shower stall. The shower stall outdoor does dump into the sewer as required by code, and then it runs underneath and then dumps into here. So this metal lid with a concrete basin around it, this is the sump pump basin where the pump and everything is at. And then right after that, that little circular piece on the walkway there around the rocks, that is the secondary opening for the 2-inch line, because the pump actually just discharges through a 2-inch pipe. That's a second clean out of there. Now that's full of water because the line obviously goes uphill, being it on a pump system, and that's completely fine. On a pump system, now the line can actually not be downhill and do different transitions and turns because it's not required to be gravity. So this line here will have to again be fixed from this whole sewer dump system here all the way back to our flag where the start of that sag is there in the corner there, just past the edge of the building. So we're going to pause and now check the plumbing out for this front house. Okay, so we're now on the rooftop of the front house, 1923. This is the bathroom that was added. We can see from the crawl space that it's all new 3-inch ABS going across, even then from the kitchen, but we'll go ahead and see if this vent will allow us access to get into the sewer, because we do not see a sewer main clean out at the ground level for access. So it does look like we're in there, so it looks like we're now in the horizontal line, and we're now running across this sewer main. So this is headed over to the crawl space for the original part of the house. Again, this is all 3-inch newer ABS pipe. Whoa, we've got a little rat or a mouse in there. Okay, did not expect to see that. We're going to pause the video for a second. Okay, so this can happen when you have a line that is not being used, and if the city gets any work done, rats and mice that are living in the sewer will scamper up through a line that's dry. So this house is vacant, not being used, so it basically has wanted to settle in there. So We've got the real estate agent opening up the door so we can run some water through the system, because we actually do want to run some water anyway, so when we come back in reverse we can verify there's no sags in the plastic line. Since it's dry right now, we do need to verify that, but we're holding off for a second until we run some water through the system to kind of scurry and chase that little guy into the city pipe, hopefully. So we're going to pause again. Okay, so we ran a bunch of water, flushed both toilets, ran kitchen and 2 lavatory sinks for a minute or two. So all that water's gone through the system, so if we've scattered our little friend out of there. He might be hiding in one of these T-junctions though, but we'll continue down the main sewer, and then we will pull back all the way in reverse so that we can go ahead and verify. That might be the lav or kitchen line finishing dumping into the system right there. So on the way back, we'll look at everything again to verify that nothing is holding any water in the line, again for a sag, or what we call a belly into the pipe. It does not have proper slope. So a lot of turns on this system. Let's see if we can get all the way through. We're going to kind of push kind of fast. We can see some standing water at that turn, but when we go out a long distance and have a lot of turns, it can be very difficult to keep moving. So once we get some momentum, we're out only 62 feet and we're having a really hard time still pushing. So we're actually going to turn the water back on again. That can sometimes help transport and reduce the friction as well on the line, get the cable pushed out. So we're going to pause for a second. Okay, we have all the water running right now. We're going to keep pushing the camera as fast as we can, try to get through this, and then we'll come back and then also hopefully see if we encounter any clean outs that we didn't notice on the property to get the rest of the way out if we can't continue here, which does look like we're getting caught already, as you can see. Okay, we can't get any further. We're going to go ahead and shut the water off and see if this is an area that's holding water constantly. And then we'll go ahead and locate that if necessary, and then pull back, and we'll try to see from the other toilet vent if we can get out further, or if we can find some ground level cleanouts. Okay, so we've got the water shut off. So you can see right here we have some major buildup or some other obstruction in the line. So you can see the water on the top of the screen is actually kind of waving and moving. There's just a little bit of residual still going through the line, but it's nice and crystal clear right now from all the water we ran and stopped. So the camera's getting stuck right here because of something wrong or stuck in the piping system right here. So now that we've got a view of this, we can't get by this. We're going to go ahead and locate to see where this is at on the property. Should be in the front yard. And then we'll try to again go from a different point to see if we can get somehow past this. Okay, so you can see there's kind of like a mirror image with that water acting like a reflection there. We're going to back up. You can see all that build up right there. We don't know what's going on with the cast iron right there, but this is in the front yard of the house, just past the flower bed. If you're walking up to the house, the one on the left of the walkway, it's under the grass. The pipe is 42 inches deep, so it's 3.5 feet deep, and we'll mark this, but we're going to pull back on the system here. So you can see this is all holding water. So we have another area that's literally like another sag again. Now we again don't know if it's because there's some massive root intrusion, some object or debris in the line, or some other issue with the piping, or if it is just an actual sag, or if it's stuff holding it up, creating this. But you can see we're all underwater here completely, and it's all churning and moving. We have no water running right now in the house, and it is vacant. So there you go right there. We're coming out of that. So right here, this looks like it's possibly plastic pipe. So this might be where they dug up to put in the T-junction right here for the ejection pump to dump into the system. So here we go over, and there we go, a little turn on the line. We got a little downhill slope. This is all plastic here. So it looks like everything here, because now we're under the house, is all plastic. So we're going to push back forward again. Hopefully we can get there without running water again. But as we come back up here slowly, this is probably going to be ending where the T-junction for that other dumps in. It could be right over the top here. So we're going to back up for 1 second. We're going to leave the video recording. It might be a vertical T right there. So we're going to leave this recording. We're going to go down and we're going to run the shower, the outside shower, to get the sump pump to activate. Okay, we were watching on a Wi-Fi monitor at ground level, and I did not see any water flutter come into here, and it does look like the pump dumped out from the water we were running through the outdoor shower that goes into the sump pump system. It does look to me like on the top of that pipe there, unless it's just a weird part of the ABS colorization, that it's a possible T-junction opening, but there's no cleanouts on the front yard, so kind of looks like one, but I just can't see, and it's not going to matter. We don't see one at the ground level, but it almost looks like it there. But we're trying to get more access into the system so we can get by this bad part of the pipe coming up. That's our problem here. So we're going to go ahead and leave our camera right here. We'll go ahead and locate and prod the ground really quick and see if we can somehow find a buried clean out lid. We're going to pause the video. Okay, so we're going to pull back the camera now because we did locate a clean out. It's buried, not buried underground, it was buried under the bushes, and all the big leaves and things of the bush were literally completely hiding the 4-inch plastic clean out that was put in. So it wasn't visible walking by at all. So we're going to move our camera over to there to get by that point and the rest of the way out to the city, because it's still the homeowner's responsibility in the city of San Diego all the way to the street connection. Now we're going to slowly pull back on this plastic pipe to confirm that there's no areas that are holding any water. We've already gone through the pipe. Now it's all new plastic. We just want to verify with all the water we ran now that there's no areas. Okay, here's one small area right here. So you can see we're completely underwater. So this is a 1-inch camera and completely underwater right here. Again, there's no water running in the house. And there we go, we came out of that. So we have that little sag right there. So we got a turn on the pipe right here, a short piece of pipe, and then we come up to another turn right here. And so in between those turns, when they set it for some reason, they didn't check it with a level, or it sank on them, they didn't support it, I don't know. But this is an area, a couple foot area, so we push back out to the front of this again. So right here at 50 feet 9 inches, and as we back up here, go through this big sag, it's holding water, we come back out to the beginning, at about 46 feet is kind of essentially where it's almost starting. So essentially we've got about a 4-foot run that's holding water here. So we're going to push to the middle of this, just past 48 feet. We're going to go ahead and pause and locate to see where this is at. Now this should be in the crawl space, so it'd be a repairable thing, but we're just going to check with our locator above ground here in the house and see where it's at, so make a marking. Okay, so we've got this marked in the house. It's on the floor, the hallways, kind of in between or near the bedroom entrances off the hallway bathroom. So once we move our camera down to ground level, we'll show this. But this is, again, in the crawl space of the house, so you'd have to just get underneath there and correct this area. Holding way too much water. So again, heavy feces, paper, or food items, everything else is going to collect in here, especially grease and fat, and that'll bind up just like it does in a jar, and it'll land up causing a sewer stoppage at some point. And so this needs to be fixed. It's out of code. We're now going to go ahead and pull back on the rest of the line to verify the rest of the piping is okay. So again, you can see it's just a small short foot run, and it's on all these turns on the line. Here's another turn right here, and this brings us heading back towards the toilet. Another turn. Very strange pathway that was used to get from the one spot to the other. It kind of zigzags around. But anyway, it is all new plastic. There's a quick turn right there. Now we're headed back across here, so we got about another 15 feet or so. And everything's looking really good on this line here. We're almost out of the horizontal, coming back up to the vertical here where we came down through the vent. So no more sags or bellies. The rest of the pipe is good. So now we're coming up the vertical right now. That's why you can't see. There's droplets of water hanging off the front of the lens. And here you go. We're on the rooftop here. So we're going to pause the video and move down to the front of the house and show the inside. Okay, so we moved inside the house. So we went ahead and we didn't put any tape on the floor because we don't want to leave anything in case it lands up causing anything to peel away from the coating of whatever type of flooring this is. So these 3 pucks that we have on the ground, just electrical tape, that marks the path of the sewer pipe and where that sag is that we just showed at the 40-some-odd foot mark. So the red disc right here in the middle, that is the middle of that, and then about 2 feet in both directions. So that's where that's at. So again, right in front of the entry point to the 2 bedrooms off the hall bath. So the line kind of leads off the toilet, and again, you saw all those turns on the sewer pipe. Kind of goes into the bedroom and then loops around and turns and then heads out. So just a lot of additional turns, not sure why. But anyway, this is the sag area we showed. So this is where in the crawl space you'd have to correct to fix that problem that is out of code. We're going to pause and now move to the front yard. Okay, so moved out to the front yard. So here under the bush and under all these big leaves that happen to be growing there, is the 4-inch ABS cleanout that we found. So right past this cleanout, just to show really quick, again, this is under this bush right here, almost where the front of our camera assembly is. That's where that buildup was that the camera couldn't get by right here. So right here where I'm tapping is about where the sewer is. We couldn't get by. So now that we've got this clean out access uncovered a few feet away, we'll be able to get by that area and see what's going on here in the system. So here's, again, all this water being held in the pipe. And here's that heavy buildup right there. So you can see it's a misalignment of the pipe. That's what it looks like. So we can see the wall, the pipe right there as we kind of back up. We just jumped over it right there. Now we're back into the original cast iron. We're going to back up again and show how it drops back down into the pipe right here. So as it goes in, and then boom, it drops down. So this is what we call a misalignment to the pipe. So this has to be dug up and repaired, because again, what's going to happen is you're going to cause tons of stoppages and other issues with that possibly disconnection point that could occur between these two pipes from the band that could be being stretched out. So we'll jump back over this again. There we go. Kind of get back over that. Got some debris on our lens from having to do that. So let's see if we can kind of get this clear. There we go. So again, there's some debris right there. I don't think those are roots. I think it's just regular debris, but again, that's needs to be dug up anyway, so if it happened to be some small roots, it'd be fixed. So you can see some heavy mounding on this cast iron, unlike the 4-inch cast iron that we passed through for the back unit, the 1925. You can see there's more scale and deposits on the left and right hand side of the bottom of the pipe here. So there is a process of descaling this via hydrojetting typically sometimes, and they have other mechanical methods as well. Doesn't saying it needs to be done, but if it does lead to issues, that's what would have to be done. Now with older cast iron pipe, the problem is you can only be so aggressive. It might actually flake, tear, or break and crack the pipe in certain spots where it basically is too weak because of the age of the pipe. So you do have to do it with certain caution. Now we're going to continue down this cast iron pipe. So again, it's still intact, still functional, but definitely some buildup in there. Now right here we have a transition to plastic. We suspect that this is our T-junction then, where the pump is tying into the line. It is holding a little bit of water here, but not too bad as we can see. So this actually looks like we're in clay pipe now. So we're actually in clay pipe. So you can actually see the orange-red. That's actually the clay part of the system. So it wasn't plastic. This is plastic right here, it looks like, as we come up. Now, we're holding some water again on the line. I don't know if it's a little hiccup what we've got here. So we can see some roots right there in the pipe. So we've got some roots here at 32 feet out, and as we back up here, you can see the roots are quite heavy in the line. So we're going to go ahead and we'll pull back and mark that, but we're going to continue down the line right now. A little bit of standing water here. This clay pipe comes in 4-foot lengths, so you're seeing little hubs. Right here's another one every 4 feet. Here's another hub. This is slightly offset. Now we've got water running through the line because the back house is using water, and the pump system it's on is now pumping through there. So that's the water you see circulating through the line there. Push through this here. We should be getting close to the end. Here's what appears to be greenbelt PVC. So yes, this is the PVC pipe right here. This is a downward turn. We're getting a couple little turns on the line, and here's the city pipe right here. So here's the larger pipe, or where the end of this lateral is. It's all been replaced by the city, so they dug up the street and put all new piping in. And as we come back here, they did a little bit of this branch run coming backwards in reverse here for this few feet, a couple little turns on the line. Now we're back into the clay. So now we're going to pull this back. We know that at about 20 feet back from here, at about the 32-foot mark, we have roots. That can be maintained, can be ripped out via hydrojetting. Also can be removed a system that we use called a flex shaft system, which is a chain knocker that tears and rips roots out in its entirety, just as effective as hydrojetting, and it's actually a little bit cheaper. But we're going to pull back here to this marking where those roots are at. So let's see, we're coming back up at this next coupling right here. There's the roots right there in the line. So we've got all these roots, so we're going to go ahead and pause and locate these. Okay, so we found these roots. They're 46 inches deep is where the pipe is, and its depth. It is right after the end of the grass where these roots are located in the clay pipe, just underneath the bushes. So those bushes have intruded. It could even be the big trees across the street. These roots can grow for hundreds of yards, but anyway, it's right underneath the beginning of the bushes that separate the sidewalk and the grass, and we'll show that. So these roots need to be cleaned up for right now, and then it'll have to be maintained. Now as we back up behind there, you can see we're back up about 3 feet. So this 1 4-foot section of clay pipe is just holding water. So it's just slightly misaligned with the hub. We're actually kind of hitting the bottom of the hub right there. So clay pipe goes into a rubber boot. So if somebody was to dig up the root intrusion and actually repair that, you would also fix the sag that is in front of it. So you could maintain the roots, but you may also want to actually dig this up at some point in time if it leads to any stoppages. So you could fix the roots and the sag and at the same time. So we're going to back up here on the line. Again, this is the clay pipe. We have that one root intrusion. We did not see any others, but we're going to keep checking here as we come back. There's the end of the cast iron pipe right there. So there's our transition. And as we come back through here again, you can definitely see there's actually a buried original clean out right there, almost at the end of that. And then as we back up here, again, the cast iron functional, but a lot more rougher. Might need some descaling or cleaning in the future at some point in time, because it's a lot rougher than the cast and for the back house coming through their yard. So you can see all that mounding on the left and right hand side off the bottom. Real heavy right there. Now we're coming back up really heavy right there. And then we're going to come over, and then right there is where the really bad area is right here. So probably need to dig up this area anyway, a few feet past this problem spot. So we're going to go ahead and pause and mark this problem area right here of the misaligned pipe from this plastic into the cast iron. So we're going to pause. Okay, so we push forward past the misaligned pipe. So right here where the cast iron ends and the clay begins, this is 44 inches deep. So it's about 3 feet 8 inches deep. We've painted a green dot on the grass. It's about the middle of the yard. Again, we know we have the root intrusion with the sag in front of it in the clay, all the way by the bush line right in front of the sidewalk. This is about an 11-foot run right here of cast iron that, again, really heavy scale buildup, especially at the beginning here. Now the beginning right here, which is really bad, has to be dug up for the misaligned pipe right here. So you're going to have to replace a few feet of it. You'd probably be better off just going the other 8 feet past this 3 foot that needs to be dug up and exposed for the misaligned, and correct the rest of that all the way out to the clay and get rid of all this really old rough cast iron. But at the bare minimum, what needs to be done is the section right here that's holding all this water. And again, we believe that's from where part of also the T-drop-in was made for the sump pump system. So right here, because we're underwater, we can't see it. That is where this is dumping in from the front house. Now we're coming back up that vertical. So this is all underwater. So again, this all has to be corrected. Part of that standing water may not be able to be completely redone, but it's again where the sump pump dumps in and needs to be corrected, at least where this misalignment is. So here's the flag. It says 41 inches deep, misaligned. We've got a green spray paint dot on the ground. Now we're going to go ahead and pause, and we'll move over to the yard to show the other roots and the other marking. Okay, so right here in about the middle of the yard, here's this green spray dot we put on the grass right here. Kind of hard to see in the sun, but a little obvious. That's where the cast iron is ending and the clay begins. So if you were to go back that 11 feet to where you already have to dig up about 3 feet of that, you may want to just continue to finish the rest of this, because it has to be dug up back there, and the cost to descale it and reline it would be way more expensive than just continuing the digging and getting rid of the rest of the cast iron. Doesn't have to be replaced right now, but it wouldn't make much sense not to. Then we'll just leave the video recording here. We'll walk over to the root intrusion in the clay pipes as we come to the end of the line here. In the front yard, right here, is this flag. You can see it says the word roots, 46 inches deep. So you can just maintain that. It just, there so happens to be another 3-foot sag in front of it. So if you were to repair that, you would also be able to somewhat correct that sag that's in the line. I'm not recommending that in its entirety. That's up to the owners, of course. But these roots right now do need to be cleaned up, and then it'll have to be maintained on an about every 9 to 10 month basis at least. There's a foaming chemical product, relatively inexpensive, that can be poured down the clean outs to keep these roots from growing back in if you're not going to dig it up and replace it. So that concludes the recording for this property.